Welcome to the Lake District. If you're joining me for the first time, hi, I'm Caroline and I'm out and about on adventures in the northwest of England with my partner in crime, Andy. We've so far tested our nerves by taking on the terrifying yet fantastic Via Ferrata along the Honister Pass. We've scrambled up, over and a little bit back down in some parts along Sharp Edge to reach the summit of Blencathra. We've also undertaken some less scary hikes in the Borrowdale Valley, such as Waller Crag, complete with a slow worm spotting, blackberry picking, and a slight detour to Friars Crag at golden hour. And also a hike up Cat Bells, perfectly started and ended taking the ferry boat across Derwent Water. Despite the heatwave, today we'll be headed to Grasmere to undertake a popular circular hike. Good morning and welcome to the very pretty and picturesque village of Grasmere here in the Central Lake District. In my last video I had such a great time hiking up to Waller Crag and then along to Friars Crag that I'm sticking with the crag theme, and today I'm going to be hiking up Helm Crag, which is the hill that you can probably see behind me. When you get to the top there's supposed to be some really cool rock formations, one that resembles the lion and the lamb and another a howitzer. I can attest that Grasmere is an incredibly beautiful village. We decided to make a pit stop because they do some very world famous gingerbread, and both Andy and I love our gingerbread. We got there just before it opened, but the queue was already well and truly into the churchyard, so we have had quite a delayed start to the hike, but we do have plenty of gingerbread to keep us going. The actual town itself of Grasmere, it seems incredibly upmarket. There's some very fancy looking hotels. There's loads and loads of cafes, restaurants, bars. There's also things like art galleries. It's just got a really nice feel to it, but I imagine everything is probably very expensive here. But now that we've taken in the little town or village of Grasmere, we've got our gingerbread, we are off starting the hike. I spent so much of yesterday looking everywhere in that great wood for the red squirrels that it was well known for, and we've just gone past a red squirrel that was climbing down the branches of a tree in someone's back garden. And already, I mean, we've not even gained any elevation, we've still got to go all the way up Helm Crag over there, but this is absolutely stunning with craggy backdrops, some of the most beautiful architecture as well. I would not mind living in that house. It's gorgeous. Who looks at this and thinks, oh, I'll take my car up this? Suddenly this path gets very steep very quickly. Path's beautifully maintained though, it's a proper staircase going up. I guess maybe the fact that it's a crag, it's like a cliff face, so of course it's going to be really steep, but I think yesterday going up to Waller Crag, because it sort of circled us around and then up onto the crag at the top, it kind of lulled me into a false sense of believing that today's hike was going to be kind of similar, but no, this is actually really reminding me a lot of the Welsh slate quarries hike that we did earlier on this year, with the stone walls forcing us up and not really having anywhere to go and let people past and what have you. With the exception of the odd tree, we have predominantly popped up above the tree line now, so we're starting to get really beautiful sweeping views over both Grasmere, but also the other crags and the farmers' fields, and surprise, we're hiking in amongst ferns. I feel like the ferns is going to be the theme of this holiday, but it has at least stopped with the staircase and it is now a little bit more gentle. of an upward slope. Both of our tummies are rumbling big time, so we're going to stop for our 11sies. Might have some of that gingerbread that we just bought. Oh yes, you have the gingerbread out. So we've stopped here to have that gingerbread, and we've just had a piece or two and it was so delicious. I feel like we need to talk about it. So you're quite the gingerbread connoisseur. What were your thoughts?
I'm not a connoisseur, but yeah, no, it's a lot better than the mass-produced supermarket. It's really soft, it's got a lot of ginger in it. Yeah, it's definitely up there with the best gingerbread I've had.
And I found it actually to be quite chewy as well, which I really liked. You know, as you said, the supermarket ones, like they just snap like a biscuit. I have had it before over in Poland where it was more bread-like, but I still think this is definitely the best gingerbread I've ever had. But one of the really cool things is that we picked up a bag that was £7.50, and so if I open it up, and they've wrapped it all up nicely, and as you can see it's perfectly shaped, so it would make for a very nice gift. But obviously at £7.50 it is a bit more on the expensive side. But the lady then in the shop said,
Tell you what I have got left is one last 50p nibble bag.
Which is, well, it's looking a little bit empty now. It was obviously much fuller earlier. And that is an absolute bargain. So if you can get there before opening and get a place quite close to the front of the queue, you can pick up an absolute bargain, 50p for the cut off ends bag. Yes, it doesn't look very good, but certainly for out hiking in this sort of situation, rather than massacring into the very beautifully packed looking one, this has been perfect. So yeah, definitely well worth waiting in the queue. Would you agree? Yeah. And once again, what a beautiful view to be having our 11sies at. We're rested, we've eaten gingerbread. Given that the sun's out, the guns are out, we've also sunscreened up, and now we are good to keep on going. But I believe that we're about halfway up on the elevation point to get to the top of Helm Crag.
I love how you call me a gingerbread connoisseur.
Oh, you are one though.
Am I?
Oh yeah, you love your gingerbread. Splits off into two different footpaths. One of them definitely looks like it's a nice steady incline on just a regular footpath that I think skirts around and eventually up to the top. Well, there's this one which looks very scrambly, and if you've been watching any of my videos for a while, you'll know I love a good scramble, so I'm choosing this way. I've made it up onto the very first peak, and I believe that this one that I'm standing on top of is the Lion and the Lamb rock, but when you're actually up on top of it you can't really see that. And then out into the distance there's another one that's quite impressive. I thought it was the Howitzer, but Andy seems to think that it is Helm Crag, which is what this is named after. But either which way, just being up here on the top, yes, you've got that main thoroughfare that runs from Ambleside up to the north part of the lake, so you can hear a little bit of the hum of traffic, but if you push that off to one side and you just take in the sweeping views up here, it's really spectacular. And not only have you got the other hilltops, but you've also got the tarn as well. We've made it up to Helm Crag in really good timing, so instead of doing this as a there and back, we've whipped out the OS map. We've had a quick look at what some of the alternatives might be to turn this into a circular hike, and it's really helped by the fact that it's a clear day, so we can see exactly what we're going to do. We're going to dip down and then back up onto the mountains or hills on the other side. We're going to go over all of those until we reach that valley. There's a footpath that follows down the stream, and we should then join up to the footpath that people use to hike to Easdale Tarn. But I think in order to get to that tarn we would then have to go out of our way on a bit of a detour, which might make the day a bit longer than what we'd first anticipated. The good news is that it's not going to be exactly the same going back down. aesthetically pleasing, then you're all good. So just behind me is the point where the path forks off in many different directions. So if we did want a slightly easier hike that was still a circular, we could have gone back down the hill. In part, it's still quite early, so we're quite happy to make this a slightly longer walk. But the other thing is obviously the shorter you cut it, the more severe that downhill is, and once again, all about my knees. So I think I'd rather make it a bit longer so we've got a much more gentle descent. And we've dropped down low enough now that we've come back into the fern line. It's almost like something out of a horror film if you don't actually know what's going on, because you just see the ferns moving. Very Jurassic Park-esque. It's like, what is it that's causing them to move? Obviously, growing up in the UK, I know that it's just really harmless farmers' sheep. But I imagine for someone who hasn't read up on this, who's perhaps visiting from a foreign country, that would probably be very unnerving, just seeing all of the ferns moving as something is blatantly coming towards you. Maybe with our finger.
Top or shaft?
The top. 1, 2, 3. Woo! The plan had initially been to stop off for lunch at the top of Gibson Knott. Unfortunately, it was full of a lot of flying ants and midges, so we've decided to come down into a little bit of a dip. There's a little bit of a breeze. I thought, looking at the weather forecast, there's hardly any wind today. It's going to be gloriously warm, but really when hiking mountains, that's not necessarily the best weather conditions that you want. So it's a little bit of a breeze to help cool us down whilst we have, surprise, surprise, some ham and egg sandwiches. Yeah, and heat, yeah. We are all fueled up from our lunch and we are ready to tackle this. We reckon we've probably got about another 2 kilometres along this ridge line, but it's undulating, it's up and down and up and down. But that will then take us to the top of the valley, and it should hopefully be quite a relaxing, nice gradient following the stream back down into Grasmere. So when Andy was giving me the different options and showing me on the OS map, I think I just got really fixated with, oh, that way is probably going to be the nicest on my knees. So I was like, that way then. And now that we're actually at this point and I'm looking at what we still have to do, because basically that mound behind me, we've got to go over it to eventually cross over the stream, because the hiking trail back down towards Grasmere is on the opposite side of the trail. And I don't know, I think it's a combination of maybe several days back to back of hiking, throw in the really hot weather and the beating sun. There are very few clouds in the sky, so there's almost no respite. Stupidly, I left my baseball cap back at the cottage that we're staying in, but I've just got to mentally prepare myself. We can do this, because if we can't, we'll just die here or someone will cart me off the mountain. But one way or another, I'm determined we're going to do this. Let's go. Oh no!
You broke it?
I broke it.
Oh.
We've come down this path. Thank you. Just in case I couldn't see what I was pointing at, it's good that you were pointing to. So we've come down this path. And then this is literally like the V point, and we're then going to be coming down this path into the valley. So it just seems like a good place. The breeze has definitely picked up. which is beautiful. It's very, very welcomed. And I think we're just going to have some more of the shortbread that our Airbnb hosted very kindly left in the cottage, just for a little bit of an energy boost, because I think mentally, now that I know that I'm at this point, I'm starting to pack up a little bit again. But I have been a right old moody mare as we've been coming across those crags. But I'm hoping that this is going to cheer me up, and knowing that it's downhill from here is also going to cheer me up a little bit as well. I had set up at the top that I was hoping that when we got down into the valley that things would change a little bit with regards to what we were looking at. And my wish has come true. The stream has proven to be absolutely beautiful. There has just been waterfall after waterfall after another waterfall, and the stream at some points has gone into craggy cliffs, proper full-on gorges, and some of them have had quite big trees growing out over them as well. It is really quite spectacular. I'm just really grateful that we are now starting to see some different things to what we had up at the top. I feel like I'm just walking in a bit of a daze at this point, and I'm just allowing the path to take me back down to Grasmere, and I've just been jolted back into reality. So approximately 30 centimetres from one of the stepping stones that we needed to use to cross at one of the streams, there was a dead sheep, and it scared the absolute living daylights out of me. Thankfully, I think it's quite freshly died. I don't know if that's the correct way to put it. So it wasn't like it smelt really, really badly. It wasn't like it had started decaying. I suppose you could have argued that it was just asleep, except for the thousands of flies that were buzzing around it and landing on it. And I'm not really too sure what the etiquette is, whether there's any way to maybe find out which farmer's sheep they are on this field or hillside in order for us to make them aware, or if we're supposed to tell like the National Park Service. So I think when we get some phone signal, might just do a quick Google search, because I'm also thinking, being that close to the footpath, I think we've looked out a little bit today with how, as I say, new that death might have been, but for walkers in the next week or so to come, I'm sure that's going to become very unpleasant.
Is this where it goes and like rams over my camera? Yep.